Why 3 years? Because it's long enough to do something meaningful, launch a new product line or enter a new market, but short enough that your current team can see themselves getting there. So I'll say that again. Why 3 years? Because it's long enough to do something meaningful, launch a new product line or enter a new market, but short enough that your current team can see themselves getting there. Does that make sense? So let me give you an example. There's a real life example from one of my clients 3 years ago. They were number 3 in the market they were in. And the owner, founder, CEO, and I think we were at about 8 million revenue at this stage. The company was 25 years old. In a conference room, actually down here in where I live in Barrel at a pub called the Briars, we took a room upstairs for 2 days. And I asked the owner to do his leader's intent. And so his objective, the goal of the task was to become the market leader, total solutions in the area in medical hardware they're in, with 3 product lines, one of which was a new product line. The market leader from number 3, total solution for the client with 3 product lines, one new. Why? The purpose? To provide the customer with a low risk, low involvement, easy solution to achieve their objectives on time and on budget. So this is the total solution piece. So they're in the operating theatre area. So the idea was we're going to provide a total experience that makes it easy for the customer. The end state of the 3 years leader's intent, department profit solutions. So we've got 3 products. Each of those profit solutions contributing to successful delivery of the total solution. By June 26, 25 to 35% EBITDA. They're currently at 23 million revenue. They're currently at 21. So we've still got a year to go. And $5 million cash in the bank, while achieving returns for investors and distribution to all employees in appreciation of their contributions to the success of the organization. What that means is they have one of their winning moves was a profit share for every single member of staff. So in about 2.5 years, they will achieve their goals. And the reason is every single member of staff, every leader knows exactly where they're going. Does that make sense? Okay. So we've done all that work. How do we communicate it? In your pack, there is a tool, a 3-year planning tool. Essentially, it takes every single thing we've talked about today and puts it into a 1-pager. What's the leader's intent? What will the company be in 3 years' time? A statement with no numbers. What are our numbers? Current versus 3-year. Revenue, profit, cash, number of products we sold, whatever is the North Star things to support you. What are the 5 the capabilities needed to deliver to our 3-year intent? These are the winning moves. What's the capability and what are the key initiatives? And finally, what do you want to be known for in 3 years? So we've done a lot of strategic thinking. This is the start of the execution. This is how you communicate all of these concepts in 1 page to every member of your team. Okay. So one thing I want to highlight. So we talk about what does a CEO do? There's a great book called A CEO Only Does 3 Things. I think that the CEO does 4 things. The first thing is come up with a strategy and then talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it until you're blue in the face. Talk about it to your board, talk about it to the leadership team, talk about it to your whole staff, talk about it to your shareholders, to your investors, everybody, your clients. So set the strategy and then communicate until everybody is sick and tired of you saying it, but they know it. The second thing is right structure, right people in the right seats doing the right things. If you have the right people in the right structure doing the right things, you can do anything. Simone, this is going back to your earlier comment about it's about one of another tool that I use. I'm going to do another workshop in a month's time about the whole people side. But I have a tool, it's a future org chart where we actually map the hires that we need to do in future to the strategy, to the revenue that you need to be able to hire. So strategy and communicate, people and structure and culture. Having enough money to pay for it, the third piece. And then finally, operationalizing the execution. And this is the part of the start of the operation, operationalizing the execution. So I talked about a 3-year plan and I talked about quarterly execution. So how do we get there? This comes to you in the form of an Excel spreadsheet or a G sheet. But essentially is what's the vision? If you look at the top left, my vision for the business is I have 5 key goals, winning moves to get to my 3-year vision. We list them at the top. What are the 5 winning moves? Great culture and place to work as measured under the Great Place to Work certification. And then below under the 12 quarters, we then map out what we're going to deliver every quarter. So if we think about it, Simone, one of them is we're going to become a great culture certified by a Great Place to Work. The first thing is we need to map out what that actually means. So the first quarter could very well be spending the whole time mapping out what the project looks like. How much is it going to cost? What resources do we need? The second quarter could be let's go and find the resources, find the consultants, find out who it might be. And then a whole series of projects that are going to be delivered over the next 9 or 10 quarters. And we literally put them in here. It could be we're going to develop a new product, a new waste product as my client did. The first thing is, what's this thing? What's the need? We need to understand, is there a market and what's the product market fit? So that could be two quarters of work. We then need to identify, once we've decided that, we need to find, is there actually a demand for it? We need a leader to lead it. We need to go and find manufacturing partners to deliver it. All of these are mapped over 12 quarters. And suddenly in one page again, you've got, oh, holy crap, I can now see, and this will obviously change, but I can now see what this business is going to be doing and delivering over the next 12 quarters. Is this making sense? And then, so 12 quarters, the 12th quarter is this one. What are we doing this quarter? What are we actually delivering this quarter? So what we're talking here is a 90-day sprint. We break it down into what are the number one thing we're going to deliver and what are the priorities. Who's responsible? It's always about a who and what are the key initiatives. And then a rallying cry, a theme. Okay. One of my clients, they're the founders. It's worth having a look at it. His name is Helder Klemp. He is the CEO, founder and CEO of a company called DNX. DNX. I interviewed him on my CEO podcast about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I think. And his view is he wants to make his business boring. He wants the business not to be jumping up with surprises every month or every week. And in his business, the area of his business, yeah, and we've been working on that for a long period of time. We've now got the financial systems in place, so he understands and can map margins and can map like that's now boring. His unboring bit in the business is sales and predictable sales. So we've been working for the last 3 months on how do we make sales predictable. Big piece because unless we can make sales predictable, what resources do we need for a delivery team? So his number one thing this quarter has been make sales predictable. We've made changes. We've made changes to the way the segmentation works. We've made of the customer base. We've made changes to commission structures based to push the business development team towards the higher margin solutions. We've made changes to the actual team itself. We've just completed hiring a second enterprise BDM because we need higher skilled people to get into the enterprise market, which is where they've chosen to operate. So the number one thing, the number one priority was about making sales boring. Last week is the best sales week they've ever had. So we're going, once again, I'm just going to go back again. Oops, sorry, wrong way. 3-year planning tool, numbers, targets, capability, who's the key initiatives, what we want to be known for. 12-quarter plan where in many ways, this is vomiting into a spreadsheet. The idea is put in your best, not the best guess, a best educated guess for every quarter per project, and we refine it as we go forward. Then we get to this quarter, the one we're working on, and we're much more refined. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to achieve. We know who's responsible. We know the key initiatives. And then finally, how do we track it? How do we know if we're winning? This is called the CEO dashboard. And if you look at this one, if you want more on this particular tool, I've done a couple of blogs. You can find them in YouTube in my channel. Fabulous tool. What are the key metrics? What are your evergreen metrics for your business? Revenue, profit margin, cash collected, revenue per employee, whatever it might be. What are your North Star metrics? What are the key things? They're the key things that drive your business. And then under every area of your business, what are the key KPIs for every area of your business? Product, marketing, sales, success support, technology, etc. And within this, I recommend you do this either on a whiteboard or you do it in a G Sheet Excel spreadsheet. So first column is the metric owner. Then we map out what we're looking to achieve week by week. Metric type, total or average, the monthly actual, the monthly target, and red, yellow, green. And with notes. And before every weekly leadership team meeting, whoever owns the metric should be updating this spreadsheet. Green is we're on track, all good. Yellow is we're behind, but we have a plan. Red is we're behind, but it's all turning to crap and we don't have a plan. So immediately, you as the CEO and the founder can see exactly where the business is at, but this links via the evergreen metrics and the North Star metrics back to your 3-year winning moves and 3-year vision. Does that make sense? This is all about rhythm. This is all about making sure that you've got your 3 to 5 top priorities identified, that you know who owns them, that you know what success looks like, and that you can track. If you don't get the execution, what did Mike Tyson say? I think a plan is only as good until you get punched in the face. If you don't get the execution right, with weekly scorecard check-ins, monthly reviews to help you stay on track, and to help you pivot if necessary, you won't achieve your strategy. So this is, at the end of the day, this is, I think, the most important of everything I've shown you today. Okay. 14 minutes ago, that's my presentation. What do you reckon is your number one takeaway from today? Can you drop it into the chat? What's your number one takeaway? What will you implement first? What do you need help with?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you, if the co-founders, do you recommend that the co-founders do this separately and come back together to see if they align, or how will you suggest that to be executed?
Okay. Do I pronounce your name Charming? Yeah, Charming. if you've got co-founders, the first thing I would do is get you both to go and do the 3-year vivid vision exercise at one day with the first tool. Go and do that separately. Okay. Yeah, I often recommend with the founder that he gets his wife, or they get their spouse to do it separately as well, because it's extraordinary how you think you know your co-founder or you know your spouse, and in fact you don't really know them very well at all. And it's been a phenomenal thing to do to align co-founders. So I would start by doing that separately, and from there you make the decision. And that comes down to the leader's intent. From the two visions, come together, discuss it, then you align yourselves around the 3 years leader's intent. Make sense? If you want a hand with that, very happy to facilitate the conversation. It can be difficult. And I'll give you an example of one of my clients right now. The company's been going for about 8 years. I've been with them for 2.5 years, two co-founders. One of the co-founders is the CEO. The other one, he's an engineer. So he's very much like a brain box when it comes to the technology and hands-on, but not interested in leading. The co-founder, who's the engineer, wants to sell out and get out of the business. So we literally, and this was about a year ago, but the exit event, we were talking about a $14 million exit event. This is the typical of the clients I take on. We grow them exponentially over the first 4 years and then onwards. So we had to go through what's the vision for, and there were in fact 5 owners, but the two founders they had about 30% each. So we had to go through this vision planning. What is it that we're looking for? What is it that the owners, the 5 of them, are actually looking for? Do they want the exit event? Do they want to stay? Do they want to keep running the business? And that was a significant piece of work to go through. As it turned out, my client employed KPMG to run an exit for them. I'm not trying to be political now. I'm just going to make a statement that Donald Trump came along and everything changed exchange rate wise, because the two potential purchases, one was from the States, one was from India. And so the actual event didn't go through. But along the way, the founder that wanted to get out rediscovered his love for the business and now wants to stay and continue to grow it in a different role, head of innovation, using AI and automation to grow the business. But we had to go through this whole process. But so I'd recommend you start by laying down your vision individually and then coming together. Doug, what's your key takeaway, do you think?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
You know what? I came in. I wasn't sure this would apply because I've been in enterprise companies for 5 years, and it's reignited my passion to want to get back and do my own thing again. Work in a smaller boutique company where I can have more than just a 9-month, 1-year plan, have a 3-year plan.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. So it's not really what you're on about, but it's ignited a passion that I had.
No, I'm thrilled to hear that. And interesting enough, this works at enterprise level as well. I was coaching up until a year ago, I think they were Fortune 376 company, the APAC division, 900 staff over 7 countries. And we use exactly this process. And interesting, that's where I met that people and culture expert, because as one of the winning moves, that company decided to become a great place to work certified in all 6 countries, and we achieved that in 2.5 years. So the concept works there in an enterprise as well as it does in small entrepreneurial ventures. Ross, we haven't heard much from you. Are you still there? Nope. Simone, what's your thought?
For me, I think it was really interesting to hear you say how far down the line that the strategy gets implemented down into the employees. In my experience, it's generally only stayed at an executive or a senior management level. So it was interesting to see how you were explaining how much you communicate that to everyone, which then got me thinking about if the vision is to exit and sell, how do people interpret that, especially in those lower level positions? When they do, are they then going to go into a panic thinking that their job's not safe? And are they invested in the growth and getting the business to that point if they're feeling like you're just going to up and leave, and then what happens? Which really highlights to me that there's more cultural issues than
Yeah.
anything else. But yeah, it just got the cogs turning about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point. There's a fabulous book called The Great Game of Business. Hell, I've forgotten who wrote it. No, I can't see it just there. But the background was it's an American factory company, and they were going broke. And so the leaders did a management buyout because, and everybody's going to lose their jobs. The leaders did a management buyout, and along the way, they brought every employee into the fold on the strategy and said, look, we need to make this work or you're all out of a job, which means that the town they lived in would be broke because this company supported the entire town. And they came up with this concept of profit share, where every single member of staff received a profit share based on, number one, their individual performance, but number two, the company performance. And one of my clients has implemented this model directly. And the thing is, if the staff don't know what the strategy is, how can they do the right thing? One of those things I talk about a lot is make it easy. I think that, to me, that's one of the key strategic planks. And you saw it in the example of the leader's intent. If you can make it easy for your customers to do business with you, for your staff to do business with you, and your suppliers to do business with you, I think that is probably the key strategic advantage that you can have over your competitors. Number one, actually
Interesting.
make it happen, but number two, communicating it.
Yeah. And I'll just say that sort of forethought of why would the reception need to know what the company's plan is, or how is that beneficial?
It's a different level, but let's use a receptionist. I remember, I'm showing my age now, but going back in the 80s, I was an investment banker, and the receptionist at the then Lloyd's Merchant Bank, her title was Director of First Impressions. And she
That's
was
cool.
on,
I like that.
yeah, and
That's very cool.
she was on a significant number and a significant salary. And she was hired specifically. You were going to know the name of everybody that walks in here. You are going to remember what their coffee or tea order is. And she was absolutely phenomenal. But the strategy was that you make people feel more welcome here than anywhere else. And guess, to this day, here am I 40 years, close to 40 years later, talking about her. Her name was Victoria. So that's why the strategy is important at all levels. You don't necessarily give them all of the detail, but certainly that leader's intent is critical.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right. Hitesh, charming.
The vision, the 3-year vision, so I'll work on that, fine tuning that.
Yeah. It's very powerful.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, and also how to connect that to the actions. I think that's important.
Yeah, it is, because I call it strategic thinking and execution planning. It's, if you can't take that vision and translate it, it all falls apart. And going back to that, my slide about the 1-year plan, problem is people forget. Unless you've linking it quarter by quarter, people forget what you're trying to do. Okay. Any last questions? Okay, so my challenge to you, for those of you who have a team, book your quarterly sprint planning session right now. Even if it's just an hour or two with your leadership team or just yourself, put it in your diary now. Book a day to go and do your vivid vision. It's the most powerful thing you can do. It is, I have people, it's been life changing to them. And finally, next steps. If you haven't downloaded the workbook, you can do it right now. We will send you a copy of that though. We'll send you a link to a recording of this. It'll go up on YouTube. When you look at that, have a look at my channel on YouTube. There's 127, 28 interviews with CEOs as an example. There's some phenomenal learning in there. And if I can help, please, in the workbook, you'll find a link to book a 30-minute growth call with me. That's a complimentary part of this workshop. I'm very happy to spend half an hour, 45 minutes with you, working through where your pain points are now and providing a bit of help to help you overcome them. But really appreciate you attending, and thank you.